Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Buenas noches, damas y caballeros, chicos y chicas, niños de todas edades. Y bienvenidos a el Karey Carbaugh podcast. Welcome to the Karey Carbaugh podcast, episode number 17. It's getting so I have to look up each week to see what number we're on. I'm having a hard time keeping track of these numbers. They're going by so quickly. Once again, I hate to do this every week, but I apologize for being late. I don't mean to make excuses, but welcome to my life. This is part of what happens when you're visually impaired or disabled in some other way and rely on others and rely on public transportation. In many ways, my schedule is not my own. And today I had to go down to work at one of the other campuses with the college that I work for. And it was about a 3-hour bus commute home. It took me about 2 hours to get there this morning and about 3 hours to get home. It would be about a 40-minute commute by car each direction. But because of the way the buses run and the connections, I had about an hour wait between two of the buses coming home. It took longer to get home than I anticipated. I wasn't able to get away from work as quickly as I anticipated, and so I just walked in the door a couple minutes ago. As I say, I don't mean to make excuses, but part of these podcasts is showing you all, my friends and followers, my daily activities and my daily life. So that is a part of my daily life and one of the things that I get to deal with on a continual basis. So, welcome aboard. Tonight, I'm going to focus on 4 ways, basically, that you know or can know that you are valuable. You are an important person. Regardless of your situation, regardless of your circumstances, you have value. And so do those around you. Each one of us brings to planet Earth a value that is unique and worthwhile, worthy. It's a value that no one else can bring. You bring experiences, you bring skills, talents, and other things to the table that no one else can bring. And that's what I wanted to focus on tonight. And I'm going to share with you 4 ways of looking at your value and your uniqueness that you bring to the table, which prove your value. If you'll pardon me, I am going to read from some notes that I have on my phone tonight. So if I'm looking down, you may or may not see my phone, but you may see me looking off and not looking straight at the camera from time to time. That's because I'm reading some notes here, because I had a couple things I didn't want to miss. And then I will be reading a biblical passage at the end. But the first way you know you are valuable, or the first way to discover that you are valuable, is to know your strengths. What are you good at? What gives you joy? That's one way to figure out what you're good at. Look at what you enjoy doing. What can you do with little effort? I've also heard it said, how do you know you're doing your best with the least amount of effort? That's one way to figure out what your strength is. Your physical strength or your God-given spiritual or internal strength. Either way. So that's number 1, is know your strength. And whatever that strength is, number 2, whatever that strength is, it is different, not less. Each one of us is different than each other, but not less. Whether we are differently abled or bring to the table different backgrounds, different skin colors, different languages. We are all different, but none of us is less valuable or less than the other. We're just different. And I just realized, let me take a break for a moment here before I continue. I just realized I did not introduce myself. My name is Karey Carbaugh, and hence the name of the podcast, the Karey Carbaugh Podcast. I also forgot to ask you all to drop in the comments, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, drop me an L or an R or live or replay to let me know if you're watching this live or on the replay. And finally, let me know if you're getting value from any of this. Let me know what you're finding valuable, what's resonating with you. That's always helpful for me to know going forward, so that I can make sure that I continue to bring content that's valuable and enjoyable for you. So back to our topic here. Know your strengths, and know that those strengths, whatever you bring to the table, are different. That doesn't mean that they're less. They're just different. And finally, presume yourself to be competent. This is number 3. Presume yourself to be competent from the beginning. If you're trying something new, if you're embarking on something that you haven't done before, presume yourself to be competent. If you're looking at others and you're not sure about their abilities or their skills, whether that's a person with a disability or someone that's differently abled, someone that looks different, presume them to be competent until they either tell you they're not or they demonstrate that they're not. That's one way to show value to yourself and to others around you. So just to recap, before I jump into the 4th and final one, which comes from the Bible, number 1 was knowing your strengths, which also means knowing your weaknesses, but we're focusing on the positives, so knowing your strengths. Number 2, we are all different, but not less. And number 3, presume yourself and those around you to be competent. Now let's take a look at what the Bible has to say about our gifts and our value to the world. The scripture that I wanted to read briefly tonight comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 4 through 11. And I know that not all of my followers are believers. If you'll bear with me and take this in whatever light makes the most sense to you, I think this will have value whether you are a believer or not. But the Bible tells us, again in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 4 through 11, it says, there are different kinds of spiritual gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different forms of service, but the same Lord. There are different workings, but the same God who produces all of them in everyone. So it's the same Spirit, the same God, the same force, if you're not a believer in Christian values, the same force, the same Creator, that gives each one of us our gifts and our abilities. And so it would be presumptuous of us to presume that one gift or one ability is more valuable than another. Even if you're not a believer, I can't imagine that any creator that set this in motion would create any one of us to be less valuable than the other. We're just different. If we were all the same, what a boring world this would be. And I know sometimes it's frustrating if people don't agree with us, if we're looking for someone with a certain set of skills and they don't have that set of skills. We have to find somebody else that has that set of skills. That can be frustrating. I get that. But in the end, we are all valuable. In my belief, we are all created by the same God. We are all His creatures, which intrinsically by itself gives each one of us value, equal value to one another. So that's the message I had for tonight. It's a little shorter than some of my messages, but as I was thinking of what to share tonight, I thought this is a powerful message, and especially right now with everything going on in our world, I think it's important for us to pause and to think about what each one of us brings to the table, the value that each one of us carries with us each and every day. So whether you're a person with a disability, whether you're a person who's surrounded by people who think differently than you do, look at your own value and look at the value of those around you. And treat them with equality. Because I think that's what each of us wants at the end of the day. So I hope you found value in this message. If you did, let me know. If you have suggestions for future topics that you'd like me to cover, whether it's things surrounding my disability, I'm trying not to focus this entirely on disabilities, but yes, that's a part of who I am, and I'm trying to show through these podcasts that a person with a disability can still be normal. Whatever normal is can still be valuable, coming back to our topic for tonight. And so in doing so, I'm trying to weave some other topics that are not entirely focused on that. So if you have suggestions for those topics, or if you have questions, drop them in the chat or direct message me. Facebook is the best place to find me for direct messaging. Just Karey Carbaugh on Facebook. I'd love to hear from you. Love to add you to my email address if you would like, or my email list rather. If you would like to have your email address added to my email list, I'm starting an email list so that I can notify you of upcoming podcasts and upcoming events which I'm starting to plan for the future. Drop me the word email in the messages, or direct message me either way with your email address, but you don't need to make it public by putting it in the chat. You can just direct message me. One final message that I have tonight, an announcement that I need to make. Some of you that have been following me since the beginning may remember that we started these podcasts out on Wednesday nights, and I was asked to join a small group Bible study group from church that was meeting on Wednesday nights, and so I changed this to Tuesday nights. Well, as fate would have it, and I think somebody's just trying to throw wrenches in my way and try to derail me from doing these podcasts. The group has now decided to shift their meeting night to Tuesday nights. So beginning next week, we're going to shift this back to the same time on Wednesday. We're going to try that. If I keep getting home from work late, I may either look at a different night or shift it a little bit later so that I don't have to keep jumping on here later than expected. But for now, we'll try 8 p.m. Mountain Time on Wednesdays and see if that works for everybody. Hopefully it will. So I apologize for the shift. I hope you'll bear with me, and I hope that won't be too big of an inconvenience for anybody. I will announce this in a post this next week, but I wanted to let you all know that are either watching this live or on the replay, that beginning next week, so that would be April the 22nd, 23rd, we're going to shift from the 22nd to the 23rd, starting next week on Wednesday nights. Hope that makes sense. And for those of you who are believers, have a blessed Holy Week and a blessed Resurrection Day or Easter coming up this Sunday. This is truly a blessed time. And for those of us who are believers, this is a great time to recognize and reflect on the value that Christ brought to the earth through his resurrection. So as I leave you tonight, I'll leave you with that thought, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next week. I appreciate you joining me for the Karey Carbaugh podcast. Look forward to seeing you next week on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. And make it a great week. Do something positive for someone else around you this week. Make it a positive week for someone else. Until next time, I will be seeing you in the Karey Carbaugh podcast. Have a great week. Goodbye for now.